lesson is going to be on, what's this one on? Hold on. On mouse release. For this one, I think the best way to describe it, and also get some practice on a previous topic, is to use a global variable. So I'm going to start by creating some global variable. Let's make a regular, well, so I'll say my shape. I'm going to make a regular polygon. Let's start it at 50 to 100 with a radius of 30, and we'll make it a octagon, and we will make it red because octagons are often red. Well, let's see. Oh, I already see an error. Let's see if this runs before we keep moving on. You can see the video that I just posted. Regular polygon's not defined because we need a capital R, and now boom. We have our octagon. It's not looking like the stop sign that I wanted, but you know, it's just the, you know, there's a big windstorm or something. Okay. Now, onMouseRelease works the exact same way that onMousePress works. It's just that onMousePress happens when you click down. onMouseRelease happens when you release the mouse. That's it. I mean, literally, that's the difference. If that's all you want to know and you were good with onMousePress, feel free to stop watching this video. But it does give us a bunch of extra options now because we now have two ways to interact with the program, right? We can click and then we can unclick. I'll show two kind of neat things to do with this in this video. There are way more different things to do, but I think these are kind of two cool things to work with onMouseRelease. So first, kind of the classic thing to do with this is I'm going to do onMousePress, and I'll have to define that function. Does it always need an XY? We're not going to even bother with the XY this time. Let's see if it complains. I don't know. And here's like the classic thing to do for the onMousePress, onMouseRelease lesson is just to change the color of these things. So I'm going to find, all right, here's my shape that I created, and I'm just going to change its color. So my shape.fill equals blue. Now when I press the mouse down, it should change my shape, the regular polygon, from the red that it started out as to blue because I'm able to update its properties. Let's try it out. When I run, here's my red one. When I click, oh, look at that. onMousePress really wants the XY. It will not run without an XY in there. So great. Now it's happy. We can run it. And when I click, it turns blue. The second half of this is the onMouseRelease. We haven't even gotten to onMouseRelease yet. To make an onMouseRelease function, it works just the same as your onMousePress. I'm going to define a new function, call it onMouseRelease X and Y. Apparently, it really wants that X and Y, or mouse X, mouse Y, whatever you want. And usually what you end up doing is on the mouse release, you return it to what it started out as. So I'm going to say my shape.fill, and I'll set it back to red. And now when I run my program, starts out as red. When I click down, it switches to blue. And when I release the mouse, it switches back to red. This is the classic, you know, kind of my first onMouseRelease program. I'm going to, you know, if that's good and you're like, okay, great, I know how onMouseRelease works, cool. I want to show one other neat thing to do with this, and then the Kamehameha challenge, which I've already made prior to making this video, even though it's later in the playlist, has a kind of a third cool way to deal with how to use onMouseRelease. So the next thing that I want to do is, instead of changing the color, or maybe I do want to change the color, I can keep the color change here, I can edit more than just the color, right? Just like how on MousePress you can move things around, I can absolutely change other properties. I could say maybe, well, no, I'm going to leave that for a challenge for later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this, as I click this, it's just going to move across the screen. So, well, to change, if I want to start it on the left and go to the right, I'm going to have to say my shape dot center x, and I'm going to set it equal to, well, what have I set it equal to? It started at 50. What have I set it equal to? 100. This will be great. The issue is that when I click, yeah, it moves up to 100. Maybe I should even move it to 200 so you can really see. Starting out here, I click. Whoa, it really moved to the right. On release, it doesn't go anywhere. When I click again, it doesn't go anywhere. Because again, that is the issue with putting these hard-coded in numbers. I move it to 200. I move the x value of my shape to 200. And then it doesn't go anywhere after that, right? It's just stuck at 200. So you have to use another variable to move it around. And here's maybe something that'll blow your mind, maybe not. But you can refer to yourself, right? You can use yourself as a reference to change it. So I can say, I'm going to, on mouse press, I'm going to change my center X to my old center X, and I'll just add 5 to whatever it was. So it was 50 at the beginning. On line 5 here, when I click on mouse press, I'm going to set my new center X equal to whatever my old center X was, plus 5. So now it'll be 55. The next time I click, it'll be 60. The next time I click, it'll be 65. And with that, all of a sudden you've got something that as I click, this little guy runs across the screen, right? And that's quite a bit of work to get it moving there. Now, you can do the same sort of thing on mouse release. I can say, to make it go twice as fast, my shape dot center X equals my shape dot center X plus 5 again. And now, every time I click down, it'll move forward a little bit, and release, it'll move a little bit. And this will make it move a little bit quicker because I'm doing twice. Every time I click and release, it's moving an extra 5 each time instead of just only 5 on the click down. Last thing I want to say, and they do mention this in, I believe it's 2.2.5, instead of writing all of this, there's a nice little shortcut because this is used all the time in programming. When I tell you all the time, it is used all the time. Instead of having to repeat the variable again, we can use what's called the increment operator. I think it's called the increment operator. And I can say plus equals, and what that will do is it's going to say, oh, this is going to be equal to itself plus 5, and this should run the same exact way, just my line 5 is way nicer. So line 5 and line 9 are literally doing the exact same thing. One is writing out explicitly, I'm going to take my shape center X and set it equal to its old version of itself plus 5, and here it's just the shortcut. Plus equals means you're going to take whatever it used to be and add what you have on the right to it. Last thing, I promise, I could set this to start out at 400, and you could do minus equals or my shape.centerX minus 5, and, well, it'll just start subtracting, right? So now I'm going to start on the right side, and as I click, it starts moving to the left. So you have your increment where it's adding and your decrement, which means it's going down. I think that's all I wanted to do for this. You can change your radius, your width, your height, your X, your Y, your fill. On mouse press and on mouse release is just 2 different ways to interact with it. And then with the power of variables, you can go back with global variables, you can go back and edit any of the properties inside of this shape.